Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Debate Amongst Friends. Doc here, coming at you live with the Professor John Gotti, the King of RNG, the Troll Master, Data Unlucky, the Conqueror of his own fate, the newly formed Terminator. Ladies and gentlemen, the Cleaner.
Best podcasting machine? Tranquilo? Bakelito?
Machine! Tranquilo! With an exclamation mark, sir, not a question mark. The only question we have is who else? Who is going to sign with the Lakers? We shouldn't even say NBA free agents. We should just call it NBA
pending Lakers
pending
players.
Laker agents. Pending Laker free agents. As they are doing a clean sweep. I'm assuming, and this is just a joke, that each and every one of these players loved Space Jam so much that they said, you know what? I want to be I want to be next to LeBron. Right?
No, they just want to be on the team that has potential to win a championship. And so many of them never even snipped the conference finals in their entire careers.
But in my opinion, it's like, if that's the case, why not join the Bucks? Why not join the Suns? Why not join the Nets?
Well. Big market team. I know people want to say the Nets are big market.
Brooklyn, New York, it's
okay.
Slightly different. Yes.
Okay.
I get what you're saying.
I don't want to put that out there.
Brooklyn has a chance to be a big market. It's still pretty new.
Exactly.
And to me, it's like, I get why people are choosing the Lakers, but if that's the case, why not choose the Clippers at the same time?
Or even the Heat.
Or even the Heat.
No, not the Clippers, because
again, you got
four
Los Angeles
you're talking
teams.
About brand name.
True, but you got 4 Los Angeles teams. I always, 4 California teams, not Los Angeles, but 4 California teams.
What?
So you got Sacramento, right? You got Golden State, and of course you have the Lakers and Clippers. So it's like you have options in California. You have options, in Texas, which is a big market. But I like what somebody said, and then we'll get into some of the picks. Yeah, I like what somebody said about the Rockets. Is that they were happy that the Rockets decided to go in rebuild mode, because we would have struck out so much in free agency.
I agree.
And when you look at a team like the Mavericks, which we joked about yesterday, swinging for mid-level at best talent to surround Luka, and then even in Portland, where there was a meme yesterday that what in the world is Portland doing? Dame is like, hey, we need more talent. Carmelo just walked out the door, right? A few other people just walked out the door. We bring Norman Powell back, but where's the help? Right? They're all going to the Lakers. So at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Dame or CJ McCollum trade, because based on what the organization is doing, they're telling them like, hey, we ain't going to get much better, so you better compete with what we put out there.
That's a real bad mentality. Give your star players too.
But August 3rd, right? Free agency. We left off yesterday. Spencer Dinwiddie.
Up until this morning.
This morning, yeah. We'll catch you up really quickly here. We had the return, not of the Mac, but Sam Dekker, the old Houston Rocket.
We can't sing that song. We're gonna get tagged so fast.
Yes, we would. But Sam Dekker returns to the NBA on a looks like it doesn't say, but it looks like he returned from overseas, which is awesome. Rudy Gay has agreed to a 2-year deal with the Utah Jazz. Let's take a look here. Bruce Brown is signing a 1-year qualifying offer with the Brooklyn Nets. He would become an unrestricted free agent next summer. Rodney Hood has agreed to a 1-year deal with the Milwaukee Bucks, which is awesome. I feel like the Milwaukee Bucks and getting Rodney Hood is good, because I know at some points they did struggle offensively, and I know Rodney Hood gives them that extra guard presence. Also gives them a solid mid-range and three-point shooter. So I do like that. The Brooklyn Nets have agreed to a one-year deal with James Johnson, who is a fantastic defensive presence, gives them a little bit more forward presence. I know last season they struggled heavily at that 3-4 spot once they started struggling with some injuries. So I felt like that was something that was big. But let me start right there really quickly because I'm glad I touched on depth because I'm looking at some of these teams and I feel like the one problem that a lot of teams are having is they don't have enough depth um, after their starters. And Brooklyn is one of those teams. Yes, they have uh, some great some great shooters, but in the playoffs, obviously Landry Shamet and the shooters really struggled this particular playoffs. So hopefully they can fix that. I think that James Johnson is a good solid pick. Um, I don't know if they're going to retain Joe Harris. We'll see. But I know so far they got rid of Landry Shamet. So I think that's a good move. Big news, big news out of the 76ers camp as they have signed a deal with free agent center Andre Drummond for a one-year deal, pairing Drummond potentially with Embiid, which I feel like that's a great move for the 76ers. I think this gives them the opportunity either to play them together and move Embiid to the four or play positionless basketball. It makes their team a little taller. With obviously you have Ben Simmons, you have, obviously Tobias Harris. So the 76ers, signing Andre Drummond, gives them a bigger lineup. I mean, I don't know if it hurts them, but the 76ers signing Andre Drummond is huge.
I mean, but is it an upgrade from what they had last season with Dwight?
I think Andre Drummond is an upgrade over Dwight.
Because for our casual fans out there, they would say, well, Drummond didn't do anything. That's why he didn't play when they lost to the Suns.
Honestly, Dwight didn't do anything in Philly. So I think they could have did a trade and it would have been straight up because they both did nothing to me. But it does help them. I think it gives them a little bit more fluidity. If they can play Drummond and Embiid at the same time, that would be pretty awesome.
I can see
Um,
that.
but we'll have to wait and see what they do with Ben Simmons if they're keeping Tobias Harris, because who wants those ginormous contracts, right?
Well,
So
Philly did that to Philly.
yeah,
No one
I,
told Philadelphia to do that.
I know the Rockets were in talks with, or I could say Philly was in talks with the Rockets in acquiring John Wall, but it would have been John Wall and Eric Gordon for freaking Tobias Harris, and I'm like, like we don't want you,
No, no,
right?
no. Y'all better throw
Um,
in a first rounder for that.
exactly. Yeah, I know, and I know Daryl Morey would do that, but I know for Ben Simmons, he wants multiple first round picks, and I don't see a team that would do that.
No, not after what happened during the playoffs.
Honestly, the only team I think would do that, and obviously this would have been before the Andre Drummond trade, is or Andre Drummond signing would have been Dallas, so they can get rid of Porzingis.
Yeah, yeah.
Getting rid of Porzingis would have been
And
perfect.
Philly would have been able to get away like a thief in the night.
Yeah, they would have traded Ben Simmons for Porzingis. They probably do a couple picks in there. You pair Ben Simmons with Luca, and Hardaway, and I believe we talked about them signing somebody else yesterday, but I think that would be a nice squad because KP just isn't it. He's not it. But let's move on here. Free agent center Robin Lopez has agreed to a one-year deal with the Magic. I don't know how many teams this has been for Robin, but it's starting to get
He's been around. He's been around.
it's starting to get a little ridiculous. But this is a pretty big move here because this guy has never left his team, and I'm so shocked that he finally left. but Patty Mills agrees
Yep.
to a 2-year deal with the Nets, joining um, James Johnson that we talked about just a few minutes ago. So the Nets bringing in some depth, some better shooting, some better defenders. So that so far is pretty good. I like Patty Mills. I always hated him. It's a love hate type of thing
I know.
because I feel like he always just lit it up on us. um, but I mean, shout out to Patty Mills going to the Brooklyn, going to a brand new place, leaving the Spurs, and yeah, I think that's awesome. So on the extension front, Royal, Stephen Curry has agreed to a 4-year, $215 million extension with the Warriors. This makes him the first NBA player to sign 2 career 200 million plus contracts, which is freaking awesome. I'm hoping that the cap goes up. I don't want it to go down because I don't want people to obviously lose their money, but I want it if he's going to stay the same, or I kind of wish that there was more cost share between the NBA and the WNBA.
Mm-hmm.
That would be pretty awesome, and it would give the NBA players to put their money where their mouth is. Because I know they're
Yep.
always talking about how WNBA players need to make more money. So it would be interesting to see them put some of their hey, take 50 million at the top instead of it making $200 million, extensions, make it 150, and let's take those 50 million, right, and send it to the WNBA. All right, I want to see that, but that's just
Yeah,
Doc's
that's
dream.
a pipe dream right there.
Yeah, that's Doc's dream. Moving on back to the Lakers here. Clean sweep here. The Lakers signed both Carmelo Anthony and Malik Monk at the same time it was released. Malik Monk agreed to a deal with the Lakers, leaving the Hornets, a young and up and coming team. I don't like it because I know Malik Monk is a solid quality player, and I feel like this is gonna. I don't want to say derail his career, but it kind of brings him down. I mean, but I
It
don't know.
does.
Maybe it could be the best thing for him. Maybe he'll be like a sixth man or a seventh man or something. But it's weird to me. Carmelo obviously spent the last 2 years in Portland, and he's going to sign a 1-year deal. Obviously, again, coming off the bench, most likely. I know some people probably have him slotted as a starter, but at this point, Carmelo is coming off the bench, and
Yeah.
that's okay. Back to the sign and trade deals. Chicago Bulls did add DeMar DeRozan, 3 years, $85 million in a sign and trade. The Spurs will receive Thaddeus Young and Al-Farouq Aminu, as well as 2 second-round picks. 2 solid forwards, 2 guys who either I wanted on the Rockets or played on the Rockets at one point. I feel like Greg Popovich can use both of those guys. So them 2 combined obviously doesn't equal the offensive, I guess, the offensive efficiency that DeRozan brings, but I believe that they bring something a little different as far as defense and their ability to be versatile, which Popovich likes. So I think what the Spurs have done, honestly, I would have rather them got Markkanen in the deal. But if the Bulls keep Markkanen and add these pieces, the Bulls are back.
Oh boy, folks, he keeps saying that line.
I'm going to say it. The Bulls are back because you're talking Lonzo, you're talking Ball, you're talking DeRozan, you're talking Markkanen, and you still have freaking what's his name? It's on the tip of my tongue, man. He went to North Carolina. Dang it. That's why I can't remember his name. But anyway, I can't remember his name. Forget it. The young guy that they have. So they have some really, really solid players. So I would
Kobe
say
White?
Kobe White. That's his name. I didn't want to go into particulars. The guy with the fro, it would have just got more and more generic and weird. So Kobe White. So the Bulls might be back if they keep marking it. I'll just say that out loud. But back to the Lakers, right? They re-signed Taylor Horton Tucker to a 3-year, $32 million, and then they agreed to a 2-year deal with him and with Kendrick Nunn. So at this point, I'm wondering if we're looking at the NBA's version of what the Bucks did last year, and I text that to you.
You did say that.
Because remember the Bucks signed like everybody, right? So where the heck is all this money coming from? Because you're absorbing Westbrook, right?
Yep.
Right? I don't think they've let multiple people go. Outside of Drummond and obviously Schroeder, but like where is all this money coming from? I guess is my question. So this is it, and the people that they drafted, they're unrestricted free agents. But I assume that this would be it for the Lakers. But what? In theory,
way over that cap,
right?
Way over that cap,
right? So that's why I'm wondering if there's going to be a
almost like $70 billion over the cap right now.
So I'm wondering if we're going to be, if there's going to be some restructuring, like what happens here. But I guess that's something that we'll have to wait and see how they do all that. Because, yeah. So Taylor Horton Tucker, obviously they can go over the cap for. But
yes,
I'm trying to figure out, unless Carmelo and Malik Monk are signing, minimum deals. Obviously Kendrick Nunn and Carmelo, they're a little older, so they might be in that that minimum or that the exceptions, I guess. But it's definitely interesting what's happening. But some of the other deals, really quickly here, Markieff Morris, who played for the Lakers last season, has joined the Heat on a 1-year deal. Ish Smith, who I talked about I talked to you about when the Westbrook trade happened, from the Wizards, he actually signed with the Hornets. So I guess the Wizards will have to find someone else. Maybe they'll take John Wallbach. That would be great. Highly doubtful, I know. George Hill has been waived by the 76ers. I guess that's fine. George Niang has agreed to a 2-year deal with the 76ers. The Lakers waived Alfonso McKinney. I guess that saves them a couple $100,000, or maybe nothing too crazy. And Hassan Whiteside has agreed to a deal with the Utah Jazz. So I think that's good for them. Gives them, depth, right? And that backup center to Rudy Gobert. I think that doesn't give them a big drop off. I think that's really great. That's a great complimentary center to come off the bench. His decline has been so baffling. Like he went from a star-studded player to, nothing very quickly.
It's only like a $1.8 million for.
Yeah, I knew it was. I knew it was small.
That's literally just one player's contract. One of the minimum contracts.
So unless that's the money that they're giving to like Carmelo or something, that makes sense.
So there's like 4 players who's getting like 1.8.
The vet minimum.
Yeah, that vet minimum.
Gotcha.
Including Malik Monk, which is that's sad. He's only in going into his 5th year right now. That's kind of sad that he's now taking a 1-year minimum contract to join.
He should be getting like $10 to $12 million or somewhere. I would have loved to have him. I think he's a good shooter.
Old.
Yeah, taking the vet minimum to join the Lakers.
Lottery player, by the way.
I agree. That's why I'm saying like this could potentially put him in a spot. But I mean, who knows? Maybe this will raise his stock, raise his value. We'll have to wait and see. I don't like it.
I don't
personally. Unless this is the version of, what's his name? Dang, I am just drawing so many blanks today. That's so ridiculous. I won't even say that. I guess this is his opportunity to like bet on himself. I know a lot of people say that. Where he goes and outshines some of the other players. Like I know we talk about it in like football, but not so much in basketball.
Will he be a starter for the
Oh, definitely
Lakers?
not. I don't think
Okay.
he started, but I don't think he started for the Hornets either. I think they put him on a bench. That's the other thing because remember they had Devonte Graham, they had,
Mm-hmm.
obviously they brought in, the ball. They had a few other young guards, so it was a lot of guards, and he's like a guard slash forward. So,
Yep.
um, I mean, who knows? Maybe this is just his opportunity to pull maybe a Shaquille Barrett, like take a little minimum and then like
I don't
go
know
on a
about that. That's a
you
totally
know
different story.
go on a
That's a
a
total.
shooting tear,
That
become
is
one
a
of the best
totally
defenders
different
ever.
situation.
He learns from LeBron and becomes one of the best defenders, blocking
I,
shots off the
the worst
backboard.
part is, I think the worst part is like if he ended up getting traded mid-year,
Yeah, and I could see that. I could see
like
that.
that's what makes
Uh,
it worse, or even waived.
yeah, I could definitely see that. But let's look at some of the things that happened today. This morning, as we sit here and bask in the presence. Obviously, free agency has slowed down a little bit. I assume it's going to pick back up, but
It's gonna pick back up.
the Hawks has said, you know what, John Collins, you ain't going nowhere.
Well, they were just
5 years.
deciding on a number. They were just deciding on a number.
I mean, and probably that 5th year option. That's
Yeah.
what I'm thinking. But it probably was more about that last part, that option. 5 years, 125 million. Do I think it's a good deal? Maybe. Based on what I saw in the playoffs, I'm not 100% sure, but we'll have to wait and see. Um, Center Tony Bradley has agreed to a 1-year deal with the Bulls, so it seems as though the Bulls are in full. We're going to compete. I like what they're doing. I like what I'm seeing out of Chicago. I don't know what's gotten into them, but this offseason they said, you know what, we're gonna open up the bank. Mark Eversley is their general manager. He said, you know what, we ain't doing this no more. It's time. We want that old thing back. So that's pretty awesome. And lastly, here, something that I know Prof wanted to possibly see. I'm not 100% sure, but Kemba Walker has agreed to a buyout with the Oklahoma City Thunder. And if he just so happens to clear waivers, he plans to sign with the New York Knicks. Um, Obviously, Sam Presti and Kemba's agent, Jeff Schwartz and Javon Phillips, they worked through the buyout for Kemba Walker for the remaining 2 years and $74 million. So it looks like the Thunder, obviously, who acquired Kemba in a trade, obtained a first round pick, of course, for him from the Celtics. I feel like they're in a build mode. Actual I don't know the actual plan for Sam Presti, but it seems as though Kimba's not it. So I'm curious to see what happens next with both the Thunder and the Knicks. But I know that if Kimba joins the Knicks with Derrick Rose and some of them other young players, it's gonna be awesome. And I said it. I know. I was I was met with some resistance, but I feel like the Knicks would be back. And it's funny because ESPN already has Kemba Walker on the Knicks on their depth chart, but
Yes.
I'm gonna say it like this: the Knicks would be back. I'm glad you said yes.
No. No.
The
Stop
Knicks would be back.
Stop it.
You got Kemba, you got Derrick Rose, you got Emmanuel Quickly. You bring in Fournier. I think it's going to be exciting to be a Knicks fan. Obviously, they're going to let
No,
some
I
people
would have to
walk.
disagree with you because a lot of Knicks fans are not very happy. Up until this morning, I didn't get a chance to get the pulse of Knicks Nation to see how they feel about the Kemba move. I love the fact that they was able to get Kemba on the cheap. at $8 million.
Well, it's only. I mean, thank the Thunder. I don't know. I was just saying I don't know what their plan is. Like I don't know what direction they're going in anymore. Like
Okay.
it's beyond a rebuild. It's like I don't even know. I have no idea what they're doing.
Well, first it was, okay, let's try to rebuild, but then they made the playoffs. And they was like, well, maybe we can win with the people that we have. But then Chris Paul's left. And then we were like, well, maybe we need to try to rebuild again. And they kind of showed signs of they could be pretty good. So they're kind of in between. Do we want to tank? Do we not want to tank?
I mean, honestly, and then there was trade talk for freaking Gilgeous Alexander, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it just, like, I have no idea anymore what they're trying to do. Like I'm just so confused. Because most of the time they play really, really well. Like most of the time I see them, they're playing really, really competitive basketball.
Yes.
But I don't know if they're going to keep Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I know that there was trade talk for him. I'm not 100% sure anymore. But we're going to have to stand by and wait. So we'll continue to monitor the free agents. Hopefully today, my Houston Rockets do something, which I'm happy that they're not, because I know that we would have been striking out left and right. Hopefully the domino will fall on Kawhi Leonard. Who knows what he plans on doing. But be sure to tune in. We'll continue to follow these stories. But I know that you heard this podcast on your favorite podcast platform. But if you didn't, you can always go to our website at www.debateamongstfriends.com for this episode, as well as all of our previous. Definitely want to thank all the listeners for continuing to tune in as we go over the news, the analysis, and give you our